It had been a long and difficult journey for Maria and her husband, Jose, to have a child. For years, they had tried everything they could think of to get pregnant, but nothing seemed to work. They went to countless doctors, took all sorts of medications, and even tried alternative therapies, but still no luck. As the years went by, Maria and Jose began to lose hope. They knew they weren't getting any younger, and the thought of never having a child of their own was heart-wrenching. But they refused to give up, and they continued to hold on to the hope that one day they would have a child of their own. And finally, after almost a decade of trying, Maria found out she was pregnant. She and Jose were overjoyed, and they couldn't wait to meet their little bundle of joy. As the months passed, Maria and Jose prepared for the arrival of their child. They bought all the necessary baby gear, painted the nursery, and even took parenting classes. They were determined to do everything they could to be the best parents they could be. Finally, the day arrived, and Maria went into labor. It was a long and grueling process, but after many hours of hard work, Maria gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. They named him Rafael, and they were overjoyed to finally hold their little miracle in their arms. After Rafael was born, Maria made the decision to quit her job in order to stay at home and take care of him full-time. She had always dreamed of having a son, and she was determined to do everything she could to raise him to be a kind, compassionate, and successful person. Jose, meanwhile, worked hard to provide for his family. He had a good job, but it wasn't easy for them to make ends meet. They were always struggling financially, and there were times when they had to go without some of the things they'd wanted in order to make sure Rafael had everything he needed. As Rafael grew older, Maria devoted all of her time, energy, and money to his upbringing. She took him to play dates and mommy and me classes, and she made sure he had the best education possible. She was always there for him, cheering him on, and supporting him in all of his endeavors. And as Rafael entered school, Maria and Jose's struggles only increased. They had to pay for uniforms, books, and other supplies, and it was a constant struggle to keep up with the rising costs. But they never complained, and they always put Rafael's needs before their own. As Rafael grew into a young man, Maria and Jose were proud of all that he had accomplished. He was a top student, and he had a kind and compassionate heart. They knew that all of their hard work and sacrifices had paid off, and they were grateful to have such a wonderful son. But despite all of their struggles and sacrifices, Maria and Jose knew that their journey was far from over. Rafael still had much to learn and many more challenges to face as he continued to grow and mature. And they would be there for him every step of the way, supporting and encouraging him as he tackled the ups and downs of life. Maria and Jose were shocked and heartbroken when they learned about the bullying Rafael was enduring at school. They couldn't believe that their sweet, kind-hearted son was being treated so poorly by his classmates and even some of his teachers. They immediately went into action, determined to do whatever it took to protect Rafael and make sure he was safe and happy at school. They met with the principal and teachers, and they worked with Rafael to come up with a plan to stop the bullying. At first, things seemed to improve. Rafael was no longer coming home with diapers, and he seemed to be more confident and happy at school. But then things took a turn for the worse. Rafael started acting strangely, becoming more distant and less talkative. He seemed to be withdrawing from his parents and his usual activities, and Maria and Jose were worried about what was going on. They tried to talk to Rafael about what was going on, but he seemed unwilling or unable to open up to them. They knew they needed to do something to help him, but they didn't know what. Finally, they decided to seek the help of a therapist. They hoped that someone who was trained in these types of issues could help Rafael open up and find ways to cope with the bullying he was facing. It was a long and difficult road, but with the help of the therapist, Rafael was finally able to open up about what he was going through. He told them about the taunts and teasing he had been subjected to, and how he had been scared and ashamed to tell anyone. Maria and Jose were devastated to hear about the pain their son had been enduring, and they were determined to do whatever it took to help him. They worked with the therapist to come up with strategies to help Rafael cope with the bullying, and they made sure to be there for him every step of the way. It was a long and difficult journey, But with the help of their therapist and the support of their family and friends, Maria and Jose were finally able to help Rafael overcome the bullying and find the confidence and happiness he deserved. Maria and Jose were livid when they learned about the bullying Rafael had been subjected to by his teachers. They couldn't believe that the people who were supposed to be responsible for his safety and well-being had treated him so poorly. They knew they had to do something to hold the school accountable and make sure something like this never happened again. They talked to a lawyer and decided to file a lawsuit against the school, the principal, and the teachers who had bullied Rafael. It was a long and difficult process, but Maria and Jose were determined to see it through. They spent countless hours gathering evidence and preparing for the case, and they were determined to get justice for their son. Finally, after months of hard work, the case went to trial. Maria and Jose testified about the bullying Rafael had experienced, and they presented evidence to support their claims. The school and the teachers denied the allegations, but in the end, the evidence was too strong to ignore. The judge ruled in favor of Maria and Jose, and the school was ordered to pay a large settlement to compensate for the harm Rafael had suffered. The principal and the teachers who had bullied Rafael were also fired, and the school implemented new policies to ensure that something like this never happened again. Maria and Jose were relieved and grateful that justice had been served, but they knew that the damage had already been done. They decided to move Rafael to a different school, where they hoped he would be able to thrive and be treated with the respect and kindness he deserved. As they looked back on the difficult journey they had been through, Maria and Jose were filled with a sense of pride and accomplishment. They had stood up for their son and fought for what was right, and they knew that they had done everything they could to protect him. And despite the challenges they had faced, they knew that Rafael was strong, resilient, and loved, and that was all that mattered.